Welcome to the Puck Crew. I'm your captain, Camille, and I have my alternates with me.
I'm Mal.
And I'm Robert. I promise I'm going to talk. God bless that. That's our number one complaint about this side podcast we have is that I don't speak a lot. I took notes. I'm going to be speaking a lot. You're going to hear a lot from me.
They're like, Robert, you have a boyfriend. You need to talk to us about the gay boys.
Yeah.
Well, today we are officially starting coverage of Heated Rivalry by Rachel Reid, the book. And this is different from any other content that we've covered because the other content that we've covered has been TV shows. And so, Mal, you've got a podcast where you cover books.
Yes.
Robert, you've done it plenty.
Yep.
I have also, I did it a year ago, more than a year ago, so I'm kind of out of the habit. So maybe a little bit of growing pains, maybe a little, I think we're going to try to follow the same format though. Is let's just talk about things chronologically as they happen.
Yeah.
Right.
So what chapters do we have today, Camille?
Today we're going to cover the prologue, and then we're also going to go through chapters 1, 2, and 3.
If you want to know what chapters we're covering, there's a nifty little graphic that's pinned at the top of our Instagram that you can look at to see what chapters we're covering when we upload. Since we are still in the middle of covering Pitt, this book coverage for Heated Rivalry is every other week, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then once Pitt finishes, we switch to doing this weekly.
Yes. And I think that's the week of April 20th. April 20th and then April 27th. And that's when we go weekly.
Blaze it.
Yeah, exactly. Also, want to mention, we're going to be spoiling a lot. We're going to be spoiling things from the entirety of this book. We're going to be spoiling things from the long game. We're also going to be talking about stuff that happens in the other books. And so one thing that I want to make very clear is that this is not a spoiler-free zone. We're not just spoiling things to spoil things, though.
Right.
The thing about the three of us is that we love a retrospective.
Mm-hmm.
We love to go through and apply future knowledge to what we see happening. We love to talk about those things. We like to talk about parallels and things that compare and contrast. So if you're trying to avoid spoilers for all of it, this is not going to be the coverage for you.
No. And for anyone who's worried about me, who's reading these books for the first time and but Mal and Camille are going to be talking spoilers. I'm for me, it goes in one ear at the other. I only pay attention to and think about what I read and what I need to pay attention to. So when they start talking about oh, this is that scene in the long game, I'm well, I zoned out. Sorry.
Robert doesn't listen to women.
Well, that too. Also, out of context, a lot of times you don't remember the things that you're learning really.
Yeah.
Or you do, and then you get to them and you're oh,
yeah,
now I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Does this podcast pass the Bechdel test? Have you two ever talked about something that's not a man?
Yes.
We've talked about so many gay women.
True.
No, my life doesn't pass the Bechdel test.
We can pass the Bechdel test right now. It's me and Camille's 1-year friendship anniversary. 1 year ago today, I slid into her DMs on Instagram and was hey, you've been posting about this cool show, The Pit. I just started watching it.
Yay!
Yeah, so anyway, TLDR, we're not just going to spoil, but if you're going to be somebody who is angry about even little mentions of things to come, perhaps don't. Perhaps turn this off. Because we're warning you. This is a spoiler warning.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Also, we mentioned this on our main feed on the Pit Crew, so we're going to bring it up for those of you who listen to the Puck Crew. We are very likely starting a Patreon.
Woo!
Patreon!
Woo-hoo! So, quite a few people have requested that. We hear you. We are very into the idea. Yes, there would be a free tier. What we are thinking is potentially early episodes when possible. Keep in mind, the thing about that is right now we are recording on a Saturday. This episode is coming to you at midnight tomorrow. So in some cases, early episodes are not possible. However, we could bring you bonus conversations. We could bring you conversations that we had to cut for time. Fun stuff like that. You can also just let us know what you would like to hear. You can email us at pitcrewpodcast@gmail.com. If you're listening on YouTube, you can comment. You can comment on the Spotify episode. However you want to get in touch with us, email is usually the best way, though. I will say it's a more cohesive place for us to see the thoughts. So we are going to also include a poll on this episode just to gauge interest and see what you guys are thinking. Like Mal said in the Pit Crew, we are very much planning on keeping all of the main content free and available for you guys. We are not going to put the regular content behind a paywall. We're not interested in that. So, Shall we begin talking? about the book.
Let's do it.
Okay, Robert,
What?
how you feeling about it?
I'm feeling great. Here's the thing is that we all also come from talking about Percy Jackson, and like we have all
Mhm.
grown up reading the books and then watching the show.
Mhm.
There's also a subsection of people who have seen the show or are now reading the books for the first time, and they're like having their own little like, holy shit, I didn't realize this kind of thing. And I'm having that mentality right now, reading through these first chapters. Like I kind of know the story already. I've seen it, but now reading about it and reading more in depth, like what the characters are feeling in certain moments, I'm like,
Mhm.
oh shit.
Are you enjoying it so far?
Oh, I'm loving it so far, especially with this opening line in the prologue. October 2016, Montreal. Shane Hollander was as close to losing it as he ever allowed himself to get. I wrote,
Incredible.
knowing what is to come, this is huge.
This is such a good first line. That's my first note, is that's an incredible first line.
Yeah.
I love, like, what a baller way to start the book.
Well, and I
Yeah.
think it also, like, it tells you so much about who Shane Hollander is just right in that first moment. Like, he is someone who is not going to allow himself to lose it, but that, like, this thing is, it's a lot. It's a lot. Incredible
He's
stuff.
so competitive that it just kind of eats him up inside, but also it's fun for him in a way. But I think that this is part of the struggle of because this is at the face-off of the game, and this is the line that we're all familiar with hearing Connor say, which is, "Are you having a good night? I think there's still time for a hat trick."
I also think it's important to point out that this prologue, being October 2016, this is the Montreal game that happens 3 weeks before the Boston game, which is Tuna Melt Gate.
Mhm.
But so we are like 3 weeks from all of that and kind of the turning point of their relationship, which is crazy. It is so crazy to start the book there.
I'm so glad both of you have more in-depth like retention of the timeline. I really don't. I could probably cheat and look at the timeline on the wiki. I don't want to, just because like even though I know the general story, I know there are some things that are different from the book to the show,
Mhm.
and I want to keep like the things that are different a surprise for me.
Mhm.
That being said, knowing when this fucking takes place, I'm like, wait, what?
'Cause they are very much in love.
Oh, yeah.
And it really colors the devastation of this prologue. This prologue is emotionally devastating.
Oh, yeah.
There are many moments during this chapter, during this prologue, where I wrote, that is not situationship behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mostly like the way Ilya looks at him and cradles him. And oh my God. So
No,
we should
and
probably talk about more than
I-
just the first line. But
I want to say, so I read this. I flew through several of the books in between episodes 3 and 4 of the show coming out. So at this point, I like have only seen episodes 1 and 2 of Hollander, and I had just read Game Changer, and then I was opening Heated Rivalry for the first time, and I opened to this, and I was like, what the fuck? This is like totally a different mood from like what, because like Game Changer is so sweet and like relatively easy compared to what they just throw you right into. And this was also something that I hadn't seen in the show yet, and I was just like, oh my God,
Yeah.
what are we doing?
I want to
lot.
say, I think that one thing that people don't want to talk about a lot is that, yes, Ilya is Rachel Reid's favorite character. But I think a lot of people talk about that in terms of between Ilya and Shane. And I'm like, no. Overall, Ilya is her favorite character. That's why he's in every book.
It's like that scene in Toy Story 3 where Andy's deciding between throwing out Woody and Buzz, or like throwing Woody or Buzz into the bag to go into the attic, and he picks Woody. Like that's sort of the same mentality. Rachel Reid loves all her characters, but Ilya, she's taking him to college, if you know what I mean.
And like as someone who writes for fun, yeah, valid. Totally valid. So I also just want to point out the fact that a lot of people have criticisms about the way Shane is written. And I have a lot of very complex feelings that we can get into. However, Shane doesn't exist in Game Changer. He's never mentioned by name, ever. And so my theory is that Shane was literally created to be Ilya's love interest. I don't think he existed until she decided to start outlining and laying out this book.
Are there any mentions
No.
to like, the captain for the Montreal Voyagers?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
The only thing that could maybe be a Shane mention is Scott says that other NHL players had reached out to him and like sent him emails, which like Shane says that he did.
Okay.
Yeah. So finally moving on from the very first line.
It's fine. This is who we are.
Yeah, we're really quickly introduced to the fact that Ilya is the most hated man in Montreal. And so when you think about it from that perspective, there really, spoilers, there really was never any way that they would be accepted as a couple in Montreal.
No.
From like one of the first paragraphs of their first book. It's this painful, like, when you go back and read it again, you're like, God, it was never going to work out in Montreal. It was always supposed to work out, but it was never going to work out in Montreal.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, this book being written, or not even that, this book taking place when, like this section taking place, October 2016, the line that says the near century-old rivalry between Montreal and Boston NHL teams, I'm like, how fucking old is hockey? The NHL is, as of we're recording this, 108 years old. But when this part of the story takes place, October 2016, it would have been 99 years old. So I'm like, fuck, hockey's been around for a while.
Yeah, the NHL, yeah.
Yeah.
Hockey much longer than that, but yeah, the NHL.
I don't know why in my brain I was like, oh, the NHL is like a relatively young like organization, teams and sports and all that jazz. I'm like, oh, it's
the
really
women's version. PWHL is very new.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's very new. It's like within the last few years.
Yeah, 2023.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
But it's like this whole thing is so Romeo and Juliet coded.
Two hockey teams, alike in dignity. In fair NHL hockey, where we lay our scenes, something from forth the fatal loins of these two foes. A pair of star-crossed lovers take their life.
Oh,
except
we've
no one's
got
killing
loins.
themselves. We've got loins.
Unless you read fanfic. There has to be a fanfic that's just Romeo and Juliet, but with Shane and Ilya.
So I love that what throws Shane off at the face-off here is that Ilya winks at him.
Yes.
He's like, chirp all you
Down
want.
bad, crying at the gym.
Rachel also does a really good job of setting up like what we can expect from the characters, right? Because after Montreal loses the game, JJ has this really big emotional reaction. He breaks his stick against the wall. And then Hayden like leans in and is like, hey Shane, hey buddy, are you okay?
I love him.
I do love Hayden. And I'm not, it's not that I hate JJ, it's just that I don't forgive JJ. We'll discuss that in a long time. We'll discuss that in probably September.
I have some thoughts on Shane's friends, but we'll get to that.
I just want to choose whether or not you want to incorporate it, but like just after you were talking about how he winked at Shane, in my notes I wrote, Shane, you know what you are.
The homophobic
at this
dog.
point, does he?
He's getting closer.
In this chapter later, he says, like, obviously he's not completely straight, but like, women are fine.
Yeah.
Said a very straight person, totally. Anyway.
And I'm like, Shane, leave some women to those of us who appreciate them. Thank you.
Rachel basically explains that Montreal fans will let you know if they are disappointed in you, but at a certain point, it gets to the point where they're so upset that they're just silent, and that's what Shane hates the most, is a silent crowd.
I wrote here, because it's like, but when Montreal fans were really devastated like they were tonight, they were almost silent, and that was Shane Hollander's least favorite sound. I'm like, oh, this is going to hurt later.
This may be from a fanfic I read, but isn't there a point where Ilya says that sound is his favorite? Like, he loves when the crowd gets quiet.
I don't remember.
Like, when he, like this situation exactly, like when he is playing away and the hometown crowd gets quiet because they're being beat so bad. It could be from a fanfic. I, like... mix up my details, but it seems like something he would say.
There's a moment in the long game where he's playing in Boston and he's in the penalty box, and there's an old woman behind him going, fuck you, Rosanov. And there's someone who put fuck on their Rosanov jersey, on their Boston Rosanov jersey.
The chair! Give him the chair! That's the old lady from Shrek, yeah.
But I was like, yeah, I mean, that's so accurate, because yes, hockey fans are very like ride or die for their teams, but at the same time, if they're disappointed in their teams, they're gonna fucking let them know.
It cracks me up a little bit that one of the first things we hear from Hayden is him being like, hey, you know those movies where like crime is legal? Well, yeah, if that was real, I would murder Ilya Rosanov.
You know what I also love is knowing the fact that Hayden hates horror movies. They scare the shit out of him so bad that he will go, this is canon, will go to Shane's hotel room in the middle of the night and be like, are you awake? I'm scared. I watched a scary movie.
He's so silly.
He's like casually referencing horror movies. So
yeah.
How bad did the purge scare him? Did he have to go sleep in Shane's bed? They have to cuddle a little bit?
Okay. Now you're
A Shaden shipper?
a Shaden truther.
I'm not. No, I just think that men should cuddle. Like, cuddle with your friends. I cuddled
Cuddle,
with
bro.
Camille when she was here.
Damn, bro. We then, like, you know, they're having this talk and then they're told, like, oh, press is outside. They want to talk to you. Obviously, we have the more important thing to talk about in a second. But what I pointed out, or what I clocked almost instantly, is that Shane is putting his jersey over, taking his jersey off, and he has his like CCM branded athletic undershirt. He has to be seen on camera. It's part of his endorsement contract. I wrote, wow, Book Shane actually follows his contracts.
Book Shane, I thought that was a great nod to the fact that Book Shane is very much like, these are the things that I do. These are the boxes that I tick, and this is the routine, and this is what I do.
Yeah.
Now, when Shane goes to talk to the press, they've already talked to Ilya, and they tell Shane that Ilya says he wished Shane had been playing tonight.
You're starting to sound like him.
Which is exactly, which is what Shane says in the show. And so, you know what? I really liked, when I'm thinking more about it, that was a very clever way of Jacob Tierney and having Scott's response be, you're starting to sound like him, when it actually originally was an Ilya line. Like, that's great.
That's great.
That's great. Now we are introduced to Shane's sex condo, which we'll get more into how he comes across this building and why he has it.
What's the thing Ilya calls him in the show? Oh, Mr. Realtor?
Mr. Real Estate, Mr. Landlord.
Mr. Landlord, yeah.
It is a 3-story building. It has a store on the ground floor, and then up top is the model condo, which is the one that Shane is going to, and then the second floor is basically something he wants to sell, but he wants to be completely alone together with Ilya, and so of course he's not going to sell or rent out the second floor.
Oh, see, my vibe is that he wants to sell the whole building because...
No, he does. He does. But what he's saying is, this third floor is done up. It is staged so that I can use the third floor to sell the second floor, to like rent out the second floor, is what he says.
Does that mean that the third floor and the second floor are identical or very similar at least?
Yes, they're both condos. And then the ground floor is a storefront. Okay. Now, Shane really, really, really wants to sell the whole building, right? However...
because he needs to put this weird bullshit with Ilya to rest.
He's not going to do that anytime soon.
And he's like, I'm going to. But then the very next sentence, he's like, but I've been saying that for years.
This time I'm really going to do it. I'm really going to sell the fuck condo.
Oh, buddy. One of the things that I, as someone who watched the show but it hasn't been introduced in the book, at least to me, I don't know if you know if it's in the book or not, is that like he goes to his fridge and he's like, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to drink a beer. And I'm like, Shane, no, your macrobiotic diet.
Now in the book, so with the book, the macrobiotic diet comes in book 2, not book 1.
Okay.
So that's why he's more lax about,
Okay. Meanwhile, in the show, I think he's been on the macrobiotic diet since like the beginning of his career or something like that, right?
Yeah. And we'll get into that. There's a lot of like eating disorder adjacent stuff, and we're going to talk about that a lot once we get to the long game. But this is some really heavy shit from Shane. We start getting into like the verbiage of disappointment, disgust. He describes what's going on with Ilya as a mess. He says he's been trying for over 6 years to end it. And it's like, buddy, oh my goodness. This is something we don't really get in the show, is the internalized homophobia of Shane, which I understand why you would kind of want to leave that out. It's kind of like you can deal with the struggle of hockey and not being out and all of that without having to depress everyone terribly with like the internalized homophobia of it. But Shane is disgusted with himself.
I kind of wonder if that's why people online tend to be like, the show improved Shane so much, because they took a lot of the ugly thoughts that Shane has about himself, about what they're doing, and kind of softened him. And I think, like, I don't know, as someone who, like, I see so much of myself in Shane. I said that when we talked about the show, but I think it's even more true in the book. Like, in 2016, Shane and I are the same. Like, I was doing the exact same thing in 2016. Like, I was so disgusted with the fact that I was gay and the fact that I was having these feelings about women. And so just like, I feel so seen by this. And I think it is incredibly important seeing him like feel these feelings, you know?
Yeah, I don't think that we look at Shane in the show at any point and be like, oh, he hates himself. But from the beginning in this book, Shane hates himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot. And it gets worse, but we can also tell that Shane is in love. And
Yeah.
like you can already feel his anxiety in the way that he, by the time Ilya knocks on the door. By the way, I do want to point out, without the context of the show, with the fact that Shane is literally a brand new character to this canon, you still don't know what's happening yet.
Nope.
We don't necessarily know who's at the door.
That is true,
Like,
yeah.
And so by the time Ilya knocks on the door, Shane says that he's almost got up the courage to leave because it's been 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But then he also says that even if it took hours more, he would still have been waiting.
He's down bad. I just had a funny thought. It's just silly, stupid thought. It's like, we're like, oh, because of the context of Shane, this is our first time ever knowing Shane if you never watched the show. And you're like, oh, we don't know who's on the other side. I'm just imagining knock, 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 Russian national anthem plays on the other side. I wonder who's there.
When Shane answers the door, Ilya chirps Shane and it's like, well, it was a big night. We got to celebrate, blah, blah, blah. But then he immediately dials it down. And I think that this is also, we're seeing a very different Ilya than we do in the show because this Ilya is very gentle. He's very considerate.
I don't think that's necessarily different from the Ilya in the show because I'm thinking of like Tuna Melt Ilya. Like this is Tuna Melt Ilya a couple weeks before. This is their last interaction before Tuna Melt. So like this guy is going to spend the next 3 weeks planning how to woo Shane Hollander when he comes over to his house. And like I see that. I see that in this Ilya. Like he very much does the chirping and tries to get under Shane's skin, but then there's also that like under layer of just pure love and devotion. And it's so good.
I, as being someone who, like, I have fostered kittens, I have like domesticated feral kittens, all that kind of stuff. I do compare Shane to a cat in that it's like, don't come from above where he can't see you, right? So when you go to pet a cat, you don't come from above because they can't see that and it'll startle them. You also want to get down on their level, put your hand out and look away. Don't make eye contact, that's threatening. Put your hand out and let them come to you first. And that's very much exactly what Ilya does with Shane. Is I'll look away, I'll use very gentle words, I'll put my hand out, I'll let him pet me first, kind of like I don't come from above where he can't see me coming, you know?
Yeah.
So it's very sweet. But I also think the book specifically says that his tone is less teasing when he says that he got away as soon as he could and that he didn't want to draw attention. And I was like, oh my God, he is so in love and he is just trying his best not to scare Shane.
He's in love.
I'm sure that reference was for someone.
Little Mermaid stage musical, anyone? Okay.
Shane describes what's happening between himself and Ilya as a horrible, fucked up thing. Buddy, baby. Oh my God.
And he doesn't even have like the religious trauma to back that up. Like that's coming from somebody who, like, for me in 2016, it was fully like the church of it all. But like for Shane, it's the hockey of it all that's making him feel like this is a fucked up thing. And God.
That being said, the whole line is he kissed Rozanov again, rough and needy. God, he needed this horrible fucked up thing. I did write bottom behavior in quotes next to it.
Robert, I'm gonna need to see the notes that you're writing in this book. Like, I'm gonna need to flip through whenever we're done because I feel like this is hilarious.
Yeah.
Now, Robert, this is the first time that you are introduced to the fact that Ilya has a massive bear tattoo on his chest.
Yeah, this threw me the fuck off because I'm like, wait a minute, what? Wait a minute, what? Because he doesn't have it in the show. I'm like, wait, what?
No.
Now, okay,
and
pulse check.
He got it for Russia, which is what also threw me off. We find out later, like, oh, it just so happens to it's just coincidental, you know, like, and it works because he's now going to be on the Boston Bears and also in an area that's cold. But he still got it for Russia, which bears and cold still apply to Russia. And it's like, what the fuck?
Bear in mind. I think, one, is there anyone here right now who is sad that there is no bear tattoo in the show?
No.
Okay,
Not
cool.
really. This is like one of those silly things that I'm like, okay.
I think it's hilarious, and like I don't hate that it's there in the book, but it's also not something that I miss at all in the show.
I mean, really, if he had it, it would be unbearable to watch.
Okay. I think that it's like I'm glad it was left out of the show because I think it's like completely unnecessary other than to just be like, Ilya's just like a cool dude. He gets tattoos of bears and he's, you know, blah. Right?
That being
because
said, if Ilya's other tattoo is not in the show, I will riot.
Oh no, he will. He will have it. He will have it. We also get introduced to the Russian Orthodox cross.
But it's not a Russian Orthodox cross. It is a crucifix. And
Right.
just for anyone who's not well versed in Catholic lore, it's a crucifix when it has like Jesus on it. And I'm just thinking of like in the show, because like there are all those moments where like the
Making
cross
eye
is,
contact with Jesus.
dangling on Shane, and I'm like, imagine if Jesus was also there. Like, this is not a threesome. We don't need
Jesus is always there.
So I'm just like, I'm glad that they changed that.
Now, in the show, it is a Russian Orthodox cross. So there's that. All of the language in the scene is so based in shame. And I also just wondered, like, this could be me thinking too much about it, but do we think that Shane's name being Shane, being so close to shame, is a coincidence?
Oh.
It's
Shame
like one letter
Hollander.
off. Yeah. And I wonder if that's a coincidence, and I want to ask Rachel that. But those words, so it says that the noises that Shane is making are described as stupid and desperate. And again, this is Shane's POV, and so we're going to have that very heavy language. When Shane admits that he does want Ilya to fuck him, he feels a mixture of relief and humiliation.
Bottom behavior.
I need Shane Hollander in therapy.
Retweet. God.
Because you cannot tell me that he got over this on his own. I think he struggles with this a lot in the long game as well.
Mm-hmm. Seek help, Shane Hollander, please.
Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. Even at his own fucking wedding, he's walking around fighting the urge to hide photos of himself and Ilya in their home. So, yeah, I need him in therapy. But this is this first shift that we see because part of Shane wants to close his eyes and pretend that it's anyone else. But most of him wants to see exactly who it is. And my thought is that, like, when Ilya is there, Shane can start to let himself go. When Ilya's not there, that's when Shane is, like, spiraling, right? He's wound so tight until Ilya literally starts to unwind him. And so
God.
the lines are also Shane fucking hated him and Shane hated this. And I was like, uh-huh.
Sure you do, buddy.
Sure, Shane.
Sure, buddy.
Yeah, uh-huh. I was also struck by the line, despite the wrongness of it. What's wrong about it? Shane.
Shane, please.
Oh, and then one thing that I think we really don't see a lot, except for maybe a couple little glimpses, is that Shane really, really, really hates the prep part of sex because it makes him feel too vulnerable. And that's really sad. That's really sad because this is the number one person that he, like, we as readers know, this is the number one person that he should always feel comfortable with. This person is never going, my cat agrees. This person is never going to give him shit or make fun of him for his vulnerability.
He'll give him shit and make fun of him for a lot of other things, but never for that.
But he knows where not to cross the line. Ilya knows where that line is, right? He knows when to cross it and he knows when not to. He's not an idiot.
He's not, no.
The words are vulnerable, weak, and ridiculous.
Shane, no.
Ilya is so gentle with Shane, and Shane even says that he's patient and gentle and that his voice is soft and that his accent wraps elegantly around boxy English words. I am so struck by the fact that, we'll talk about this in chapter 1 too, on the other side, Shane loves Ilya's accent, which is a thing that Ilya really hates about himself.
Mm-hmm.
And Shane is very endeared by it.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I will go as far as to say, Shane loves Ilya's softness and Ilya hates it about himself. Because Ilya doesn't want other people to know that he's soft. And so Shane very much loves the things about Ilya that Ilya hates about himself.
Soulmate shit.
Fellas, I don't think this is a situationship no more.
God.
So I've always made the joke about how Ilya's a toxic top. So there's the moment where, like, Ilya's going down on Shane, like starting to, and Shane props himself up on his elbows so he could watch, and how part of him wants to lie back and close his eyes and, like, you know, just let Ilya do whatever. And I'm like, that's toxic bottom behavior.
Yeah.
Toxic bottom to act like it's someone else.
Yeah.
Which, like, canonically is what he does when it's women.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's like, it's easy to pretend it's someone else.
Like, make up your mind, gay boy.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about, like, all the guilt and the shame that Shane feels. And also thinking about the fact that, like, it's been 6 years that they've been doing this. And, like, he's been feeling this for 6 years.
That's exhausting.
Every time they've hooked up.
And Shane immediately feels like guilt and shame, and then he tries to flip off Ilya, but Ilya grabs him by the wrist and pulls him onto his chest. And this is where we get Shane. Shane describes how the playful smirk starts to fade off of Ilya's face as he's looking at him because he's in love with you, which makes Shane feel breathless. So then Shane immediately starts chirping because his brain is like, danger, danger, danger. Like, why is he looking at me so tenderly?
The specific line is, still have that stupid tattoo, I see, Shane said quickly to distract himself from whatever the fuck was happening.
The whole thing takes me out.
And then Ilya does like a whole thing with like he missed you, give him a kiss.
Oh, it's so good. Now, Shane bites Ilya's nipple, but then they kiss really tenderly, and Ilya tells Shane that he's very beautiful. And I'm like, boys, you can do it, boys. We're so close.
We're so close, but so far. Because one of the things Shane says is literally, they didn't really say things to each other. And I'm just like, men, I swear to God, you've been fucking for 6 years and you don't say things to each other?
He really is. And again, like with this cat analogy that I'm using, he's like giving him a little treat of like, you're very beautiful. And I'm just like, oh.
And Shane the cat is like, oh, what are you doing? Get away.
Yeah.
No, I just like, Shane, you really just need to like let him adore you, because I think that when you do that, you will understand how beautiful and safe it can feel.
And we need to let Ilya become the lover boy he's always been destined to be, because that man, down bad.
Oh my God.
This is like, towards pretty much the end of their sexual encounter here. I did write, this is not a situationship behavior twice. The first one for the playful smirk that Ilya gives to Shane that makes him feel breathless. And then the second one in like all caps is when Rozanov is like, you are very beautiful. And I'm like, that is not situationship behavior.
And Shane just starts thinking about how like, I don't want to think about how this might not just be because it's convenient. And I'm like, baby, this is not convenient at all.
Y'all fuck like once every few months. You have to buy your own building to fuck in like the privacy of your own home, quote unquote.
Nothing about this is convenient. Like, you see each other very rarely, only when your teams are in the same city. You're lying about it. You're sneaking around, like, buddy. Nothing here is convenient.
And he says that women are safe and easy and everywhere, and he's still hoping to find one that could put an end to whatever this was. And my thought is, Rose is absolutely going to put an end to whatever this is, because she's going to confront you with the truth. I don't think that Shane understands, like, yes, very quickly, very soon, within the next few months, there is going to be an end put to this, but I don't think it's the end that he sees for himself.
I wrote in the margins, I'm like, who's going to tell him?
Who is going to tell him?
Rose, yeah.
But again, me in 2016, I was doing the same thing. I was like, no, someday there will be a man and it'll be fine and none of this will matter. Joke's on both me and Shane.
Yeah.
So Shane says, women didn't repulse him, just didn't do it for him like men did. One man in particular. Like, buddy, I'm gonna hold your hands when I say this. Like, you should not be having sex with someone because they don't repulse you. Just throwing that out there.
Also, at this point, Shane has had sexual encounters with 3 men, including Ilya.
That was what, I forget at what point in these 3 chapters it's introduced, but I did write like, oh shit, book Shane fucks.
Well, that's because he talks about getting blowjobs from women. But he has canonically at this point had sexual encounters with 2 other men. And so it's very significant. But I don't think we find that out until, is that the long game?
Later.
No, it's this book. It's this book, isn't it?
I can't remember.
I think that adds weight to it just didn't do it for him like men did, one man in particular. Because I'm like, he does know what sex with other men is like. He has bottomed with another man, and he has had like a bathroom blowjob from another man.
It's Mexico top and Hollywood blowjob.
Yeah, but I also, now that I'm saying that, like bathroom blowjob, I'm like, God, Ilya Rozanov would never, because he's like, no, I need more time with you. I'm not gonna get on my knees on this filthy bathroom floor. And I'm also just a sucker for the line, I have ruined you, no one else will do. Which he says in a teasing way. But like, as a romance girly, I'm like, I'm shooting myself in the head.
$5 to the arena jar, Camille.
I wrote in the margins, now this is situationship behavior.
Okay, let me reintroduce that joke for anyone who isn't familiar with it, doesn't remember it. We had an episode, we talked with our friends Miranda and Erin said that every time, because she very frequently makes the joke, oh my God, I'm going to kill myself. So every time she makes that joke, she's going to donate $5 to the Irina jar, or the Irina Foundation jar. And so anytime you hear any of us say $5 or Irina jar, that's what we're talking about. And that's just our humor. We don't mean it in any sort of offensive way. We're
fine.
Yeah. We're fine. We're fine. I'm
We?
on Zoloft. I'm fine.
You
So
speaking
anyway,
French all of a sudden?
I'm raw dogging life, but like as of now, I'm pretty much fine.
Hell yeah,
Ask
brother.
me 10 years ago, but like
Ilya apologizes to Shane for the fact that he needs to leave, and Shane is like, "Why? I don't care."
Sure you don't, buddy.
I don't care, he says, caring a lot. And then Shane sits down and has a beer and talks about how he's finally going to sell the building. And when they're in Boston in 3 weeks, he's just going to stay in his hotel. And like, no, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not, man.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not. Because then immediately he's like, as long as this is being offered, Shane would never be able to say no.
Don't we get this sentiment multiple times throughout the book?
Probably.
I feel like we do.
Don't we get this when he goes in 3 weeks when he goes to Ilya's place?
Someone needs to make an edit to that Hamilton song. Tell me how to say no to this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God. How do you guys feel about the prologue? Like where are we? Robert, especially with you as someone who hasn't read the rest of the book, where do you feel like you've been set up? Like how are you feeling?
Because I'm trying to imagine this without the context of the show. Because with the context of the show, I think I have a different opinion. But without the context, just thinking about the book as I'm reading it, I'm like, oh, this is messy. That's my first that's my first intuition. This is messy. Something's like they both like each other more than they're admitting. This is not convenient for either of them. This is beneficial because hey, they're getting, they're fucking, that's great, but also it's hurting them in different ways, I think. And I think you can kind of detect some of like Ilya's emotions through Shane. I think Shane is slowly kind of reading Ilya throughout this scene, which he's not superbly good at, as opposed to how easily Ilya reads Shane in like the next chapter or the next couple of chapters. But like I think this prologue is a great setup and also it's fucking whiplash when you start the next chapter and it takes place like 8 years earlier.
And see, that whiplash is exactly why I don't really know how I feel about this, because I did read this without a lot of the context from the show. So like this scene from 2016 when I first read it was like not what because we ended with them in like 2014 in episode 2. So I wasn't there yet. And so kind of getting this and then immediately going back until 2008, it like felt very weird. And I almost it almost made the timeline harder for me to follow because I was expecting it to skip around in time more because the prologue had been like kind of pulled out and been a separate thing. And then I like kept thinking about like, okay, but like when does the prologue fit in? As I got later into the book, like I feel like it made the timeline a little bit more confusing in a book that already like is doing so much jumping around because they don't see each other very often. But I also I enjoy seeing this like glimpse of the future and then kind of rewinding it back. So it's like, I don't hate it, but also I think it makes it a little confusing. I don't know.
I loved it. I thought it set up the tone really well. And I think it also helps you to watch and understand Shane's journey, especially when you go into this first chapter and Shane is really struggling through these first 3 chapters. Like, oh my God, I'm attracted to men. I think it sets it up really well. Robert, how do you feel about Shane as a character after reading that?
Again, it's difficult a little bit for me because I saw the show first. If we were reading the books for the first time, if we were reading them like in release order, my first idea would be much like if you're a Percy Jackson fan and you'd read the first book of the Heroes of Olympus. Who the fuck is Shane?
Yeah.
There's a timeline where that's me. I'm like, who the fuck is Shane? But going in, I think even if Rachel did not really have a concept for Shane when like she originally started this universe, I think this first chapter or this prologue really, he's so well defined. Like we're reading about him at a later point in his story before we read about him at the beginning, and I follow the flow of that so like very nicely. I think
I also just think that you can't start a smutty romance novel with 17-year-olds.
Right.
No, you can't.
You really got to throw us in as their adults, get us into the understanding of what this becomes, and then maybe pull us back and explain.
Yeah. So, chapter 1.
Chapter 1. This is Shane and Ilya meeting at the World Junior Championships.
Babies. They're 17. They're babies.
They are babies.
December 2008, Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. Is it Regina?
I hope it's not Regina, because that's unfortunate.
More specifically, December 23rd, because Ilya says this is 2 days before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Can't believe the gay hockey players met in a town that sounds like vagina.
This is Ilya's first time in North America. And he literally goes into this day thinking, I finally get to see this Shane Hollander kid.
Yeah.
I'm gagged. It also says that since he was 12 years old, 2009 had always been the year that he was expected to burst onto the world stage. And I had so many questions about this because I was thinking, that is the age that his mother died. So is it because he wants to honor his mother? Since the age of 12, this was supposed to be the big year. Is that to honor her memory? Is that because the focus of his life shifted from being a valued and loved human son to being a hockey protege because he is just another pawn for his father?
I think it's because that's when he realized he needed to get out. Like, I think there is a version of Ilya whose mother doesn't die and he never leaves because he loves his mother. At this point, his mom is the only person who loves him unconditionally. And I think if he had that, I don't know that he would have felt the need to leave Russia. I think like the big push for him leaving Russia is that he's lost his mom and now he kind of has no one. And so he's like, I'm going to go to America. I'm going to be loved. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be famous and it's all going to be great. Like, I think that's the shift for him. Like, I definitely don't think it's an accident that he's like, since I was 12, 2009 was the year. Like, I think that has been the promise for him. That was like, I'm going to get out. I'm going to get away from my father. So he kind of gets a glimpse of the Canadian team as they're practicing. And it's very funny to me that he like looks and can't clock which one Shane is because they don't have their names on their shirts. And so I'm like, you can read this a lot of ways. Number one being like, is Shane just not that good? like he doesn't stand out from the team? Is this kind of a chirp? But then also it's kind of funny to me because I'm like, this is probably the last time that he is not able to pick Shane Hollander out of a lineup.
Yeah.
In 0.02 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that I wanted to clock about this scene is that after the Canadian team leaves and the Russian team starts to practice, Ilya takes the time to note that there are a few people in the audience watching, some scouts, no doubt, a few family members who actually made the trip from Russia. And I wrote, notably, no one from Ilya's family.
And also, when Ilya sees Shane and his parents, he says, I wanted to compare this again to the show. The line in the book is, his mother was Japanese or something, right? And then in the show, he says, I know your mother is Japanese or something. And so I thought that was clever.
Because that's later in the timeline. So him now being like, I think I read it somewhere, I have to like double check, versus I know your mother's Japanese or something further down the timeline where he did double check and he is very certain.
He's very familiar.
Yeah, he's very familiar. Yep.
But he's going to pretend like he's not.
Yep.
Yeah. I also really like the implication that the Hollanders are specifically there to watch Ilya, because when Ilya comes out of the locker room after practice, the Hollanders are gone. All three Hollanders are there to watch him.
To see this Ilya Rozanov kid. Are you kidding me?
They literally, earlier, Ilya was like, oh, they're both eligible for the NHL entry draft. The expected order of these two picks depend on who you ask. Like everyone knows one of them's gonna be first, one of them's gonna be second. And so that would be why Shane and his parents would be watching him to be like, okay, what am I up against?
I know, like, when I go to competitions for things, it's like the results from like the rounds before are public. So I spend a lot of time like going through like, okay, who are we going to meet at the next level? And like, how have they done on things in the past? How does that compare to how we've done? And so I think like that's a natural thing. Like when you go to a competition and you know you're going to be facing someone, like you look into your competition to see where do I need to improve? What is this person good at? Like, I think like it makes sense that they would know each other.
We also know that Shane is obsessed with watching game tape.
Mm-hmm.
We learn this about him throughout the books, is that he is always like, he is playing, or he is eating healthy,
Wow.
or he is exercising, or resting, or watching game tapes, or in team meetings. He is very serious about hockey. We also know that about Ilya. However, Ilya does let himself have a good time as well.
Shane has his head in the game.
Get your head in the game. You gotta get your head in the game.
Does that mean that in this weird AUI making, so he's Troy, does that make Ilya Vanessa?
Vanessa.
Gabriella.
Gabriella, Jesus Christ. I have not seen High School Musical in ages.
I will say though now, whenever I listen to, because it's on my running playlist, the song from the third High School Musical movie, the like 16 minutes left, gotta get it. That one, I can't remember what it's called, but there's that moment where like Vanessa, God, you've got me doing it, where Gabriella stands up and is like, Troy! I think of Troy Barrett now every time. I'm like, that's actually just Harris. Anyway.
I was telling Mal last night that there are so many things that this series has ruined for me, and also, like, I say Jesus Christ all the time, but now my brain autofills the rest. And so every time I go, Jesus Christ, you know this guy, Ryan Price? Every single time. But
no, this is like a level of obsessed brain rot that I have not felt since probably high school, like where everything is a reference to this thing. And I'm thriving.
But I want to say I love, like, outside of the professional hockey of it all, outside of the rivals of it all, outside of the opponents of it all, this idea that the very first time that he and Shane are in the same room together, I'm like, Ilya, that's your family. Ilya's like, I'm supposed to break out onto the scene and escape this year. And I'm like, and that is your escape route. They're right there.
And you do.
Yeah.
I'll cry right now. Don't look at me.
Now, Ilya and Shane finally meet, and we know that Ilya is struggling with English because he's having to very intentionally translate the words that Shane is saying. Again, he's never been to North America before, and he's 17 years old. And the line is that even the single word sounded stupid with his accent.
And that word is what? He says what?
Yes. And it's interesting because the very first time his accent is mentioned is Ilya calling it stupid, but Shane has described it as beautiful and elegant.
Yeah. I did write, being bilingual is a lot of hard work. Like, I give so much props to anyone who comes to this country and learns English, because English is a fucked language with a bunch
English
of different
is
rules.
So stupid.
There's a bunch of rules, but then there's also a bunch of exceptions to those rules, and it's fucking stupid. And so if you come to this country and you learn English, even if you get some things wrong or you mispronounce a word or use a word in a wrong time, I'm going to still applaud you. I'm going to be like, dude, that's fucking great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even like English speakers, when you have only ever read a word and so you mispronounce it, it's like, okay, but that means you read like toque.
I mispronounce so many things because I've only ever read them, and that's fine. I don't know how to pronounce some of the characters in this series' names, and when we get to the books, Luca, I don't know how you say his last name.
Haas.
Okay, like the avocados, great.
Haas.
I mean, that's how I've been saying it, but I'm also like, I'm not sure.
I realized recently that people think it's Hayes, and I'm like, no, baby.
Haas.
It's Haas. Shane intentionally sought Ilya out, and I keep thinking about how Shane has the home ice advantage here, right? He's a native English speaker. They are in his home country. His parents are close by, everything. And then you have Ilya here who's like, you know?
Yeah.
But
he's playing it so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like smoking his cigarette. He's like not asking Shane questions because Shane asking questions like, "Oh, are you here with family? You know, your first time in America, all that jazz." And you know, Ilya doesn't respond when the question. He's like, "Yes, no, smoke cigarette." I'm like, I love him.
I also the comedic effect of thinking about the fact that there's a can of Coke in his pocket, and his pocket must be like, bloop. His Coke pocket.
Is that a can of Coke in your pocket? Or are you just happy to see me?
I need to say, because I'm old man who does not like full sugar soda anymore, I did write full sugar Coke is wild.
You know, me too. I have grown a fondness for diet soda in my old age.
Shout out to aspartame, my favorite gender. Love her so much.
Now, okay. There's a 4-inch height difference between them both, which I think in the end, we end up with a 5-inch height difference.
Crazy, by the way.
Like the next chapter, I think, starts with Shane being like, I think Ilya got taller. And it's like, fuck, this guy's growth spurt. When that line was said, I did write, how's he growing if he's not eating any home-cooked meals?
Robert! Oh my god. No,
Fast
I
food
genuinely
helps you grow too.
I actually think that's more, I'll talk about it when we get there, but I think that's more of a psychological thing than an actual thing that's happened. But here's the thing about the height difference to me. I don't like it. I think that it is kind of, and again, like, love Rachel Reid, love her writing, so don't think this is a personal attack. This is just my criticism. I think that it leans into feminine stereotypes of, like, a bottom is that he's, like, shorter. I don't like it. I like the fact that in the show they're the same height. Actually, Hudson's a little bit taller than Connor. I like that. I don't like this, like, the little feminine ways of describing Shane. I don't like them. I'm just not a fan of that. It's not a big deal to me, but it's one of those things that I see it and I'm like, yeah, could have done without it. So Ilya is so immediately taken with Shane's freckles that it is the very first thing that he notices about him. And then when Shane turns to face him again, it's the very first thing that Ilya is looking at.
He loves those freckles.
The fanfic that everyone is reading right now called Wolfbird, he describes them as constellations on Shane's skin. And it's like, oh God.
I gotta read that. That's like the one fanfic that I have not read. I've read every other fanfic now.
Every single fanfic.
All like 20,000. There's like 20,000 now. It's crazy on AO3.
God.
I think we need to keep watch because Shane tells him that he's a great player to watch. And then Ilya's response kind of in his head is if Hollander was expecting Ilya to return the compliment, he was going to be waiting a long damn time. And so I think we need to pay attention to when he eventually compliments his hockey. Like, I want to know how long of a time it is before, like, how long does Shane have to wait to get that compliment?
And how long does it take Ilya to cave?
Yeah.
You know? Oh.
I'm writing that down.
In the car afterward, Yuna asks Shane what Ilya is like, and the 17-year-old Shane says he's kind of a dick.
I think Shane, at any point in their relationship, like 20 years down the line, is still going to be like, yeah, Ilya's kind of a dick. Like, that is an accurate assessment.
That's just love, man. Mac and I have been dating for almost 30 years, and we're each other's ops. We love each other, but also we will take the time to insult the shit out of each other.
Robert, we were laying in the park, and you said, ow, who hit me? And Mac said, who do you think? It was so funny.
It was funny.
But also, there's even a moment in the long game when Scott is talking to the both of them and he asks Shane if Ilya ever just like stops being such a dick. And Shane just goes, no.
Not really, no.
No.
Did I zone out for a second where we were talking about how Shane was like, oh, my parents are here and Ilya is like, nice for you?
No, we didn't talk about that.
Shane, I love my parents, Hollander.
Yes, because the note that I wrote, this is also, I posted this on the Instagram story. As I'm reading these books for the first time and writing my notes, I'll post whatever I think is funny on the story. I wrote, jealous dead mom behavior.
Well, yes.
Jesus Christ, you know this guy, Ryan Price? Now, okay. But I think that it's one thing I if people don't know this, and again, I know we're focused on the books, and so I'm sorry to like bring up the show so often, but I do want to point out that I do want to say Hudson has clarified that when they filmed this first scene, he did have a shitload of dialogue. He had a ton of dialogue in which he was like, oh, what about the weather? And oh, how about this? And just like makes a fool of himself, basically. Like Shane just won't shut up. And that basically Jacob in the edit, they were just like, and just kept it to this very short interaction. But all of this, like, Shane trying to talk to Ilya and all this falling flat, it did happen. They did film that. They just didn't use it. Now, it's noted that Shane tries to ignore the rivalry that the press is building between the two of them, but that it does influence how he feels about Ilya. And I wondered, what do you guys think? Like, how do you think things would have gone without the media having created this rivalry? Because clearly they still would have been rivals in a way, even just because they ended up on the rival teams. But like, how do we think it would affect their personal relationship had the media not done this?
Well, firstly, I think we need to call the book something else.
Well, yes. I think the media feels almost secondary to their own internal conflicts, like, to me. I think, honestly, the rivalry plays more into the long game than this one. Because I think more of them, like, not getting together quickly is because of their own issues rather than what the media is saying. And I think it becomes more of an issue when they start wanting people to know.
But I will say that, like, Shane does say that the way the media talks about the two of them influences how he feels about Ilya. I think that's pretty significant. Is that Shane is not necessarily saying I wouldn't hate him or I wouldn't be rivals, but he is like, I mean, it does kind of stoke my hatred a little bit, you know? Shane compares the silver medal that he wins in the World Juniors to a dead rat.
Because that's how much he wants it.
Yeah. And he, again, my brain, I was like, oh, Hudson Williams, I see you in my head. It says that Shane is blinking back frustrated tears because he refuses to let them fall.
God,
That's
Hudson
my
Williams
boy.
is so good at that.
Yeah. The quote is, Canada's hopes had been heaped onto his 17-year-old shoulders, and he had let them all down.
Oh, that's so much pressure.
I know. And I'm like, how much of that is self-imposed and how much of that is real?
I think a good like equal amount. Maybe Shane more so in putting it on himself than the country. Actually, no. Canada really gives like a lot of a lot of emotion about their hockey.
But also, he's Asian.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of that is self-inflicted, which is really sad. At the face-off, it's Ilya's smirk that throws Shane off. And I'm like, okay, but you're not the only one at a disadvantage because consider the fact that every time he looks at you, he has to see your fucking freckles. And his heart, it takes his breath.
And then the ending line of that chapter is, maybe it was just that. After a life of playing at level above everyone else, Shane had finally met his match. And I'm like, oh, buddy.
Soulmate shit. They say so much soulmate shit about each other in these first couple chapters. I also wrote down that quote and I just wrote in all caps, soulmate shit.
Listen, they're soulmate derogatory for like the first 8 years of knowing each other.
Yeah.
And then when they actually figure out they're in love with each other, their soulmates still kind of derogatory, if we're being honest.
Platonic.
Soulmates platonic.
But it's like, it's very much like, oh, he's my match and
he makes me better. He makes me want to be better. Yeah.
And so I hate him. Sure. Like, okay. Yeah.
The opposite of love is not hate, guys.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I don't know. Mac will tell me like, oh yeah, you're like a good person and you do good things and you're funny and you're whatever. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. But also, thank you. I needed to hear that to improve on myself.
Now let's go to chapter 2. This is where Shane and Ilya are drafted.
The draft.
Yeah, the draft.
Yeah, your accent's better than mine.
Shane and Ilya are drafted to Montreal and Boston. Shane comes second to Ilya once again.
Not that he does that very much.
No. And
Coming
they have their... Yep, we heard you.
Okay.
and they run into each other in the gym. It's June 2009. We're in Los Angeles.
Happy Pride.
Yay.
So true.
In LA. Goddamn. So... This is the draft, and Shane is standing next to Ilya, and it says that it seems like Ilya grew a few more inches. But, of course, canonically, we know it's a 5-inch gap. Ilya is 6'3", Shane is 5'10". I will say, I do think, like I was saying earlier, I think that this is a psychological thing. I think that this is Shane feeling childish and feeling lesser than, and not actually that Ilya has grown at all.
Especially later when there's the whole scene in the gym and Shane is like, oh, I feel so childish. Meanwhile, like we both turned 18 around the same time, but Ilya seemed to have like gone through the shift into adulthood and I haven't.
He looks like a GQ model. And oh my God, how did I never realize Shane is older than Ilya?
By like a week, right?
Oh, yeah.
No, by like 3 or 4 weeks, but like...
That I picked up on from the fanfics. Yeah, because Shane's like, I turned 18 last month. Ilya turned 18 a week ago.
Yeah. Wow.
Which Shane knew because he was obsessed with him. I love that line. I love that line so much.
Now, we do have to rewind a little bit because we jumped forward.
Sorry.
But Ilya is number 1, Shane is number 2, and Sullivan, whoever the fuck that is number 3. He went to Phoenix.
I need someone, this is me bringing up fanfic again, I need someone to write an AU where Shane goes number 1 to Boston and Ilya goes number 2 to Montreal, because I feel like that does not fit at all. Like, Shane would hate Boston. Ilya would not do well in Montreal.
You would super be like taking fish and like putting them on dry land. Like, there's a saying, I forgot what the fucking like idiom is, the expression. Taking a fish out of
water?
Fish out of water, yeah.
Yeah, but like
no,
the point of fanfic is to take those guys and put them in situations, you know? So like put those guys in situations. Switch those teams and let me read about it.
Yeah.
That's what I want to read.
So here's the thing is I think if Ilya were in Montreal, Theriot would kill him. Easy. He'd be like, I don't want players like you, to be fair. Not as a center. Maybe as like an enforcer, but we learned that Shane has been obsessed with Ilya since they met, and that he's found out that they are basically carbon copies of each other, except for the fact that Ilya beats him.
Yeah.
They're two stitch in the same fuck. What's the thing? It's
Peas in a pod.
no, and they're cut from the same cloth. They're two stitches
Okay.
in a thread or whatever the fuck.
I don't know if I've heard the stitch one, but
I
cut
don't
from the same
think
cloth.
that's,
Hold on. Two.
Robert's just out here making up idioms.
God, am I going crazy?
I think so, because how did you mess up fish out of water?
A fish on dry ice. Fish out of water, fish on dry ice. He has now beat Shane again by being number 1, and Shane hates it.
Yeah.
Hates it. And they are now drafted by rival teams, so we have added a whole new layer to
I
this.
loved how, Shane is like, oh, it's fine for me to be in the Montreal Voyagers. They're, legendary franchise. They're 2 hours away from home. Good fit for me. I'm fluent in French and English. And I'm like, Hudson's not fucking fluent in French for shit.
Well, yeah, that's why Shane doesn't speak very much French.
But I will say, we actually, I think we got a comment or an email or something, and someone was like, honestly, he kind of speaks it like someone from Ottawa would speak French, which, okay, good to know. Never
French
been
Canadian,
to Canada.
Ottawa version, derogatory.
Ottawans are not French Canadian.
No. French Canadian, speaking it, person from Ottawa, derogatory.
Those were words. So,
Or any of them in the Bible.
Shane also knows at this point that his career is going to be inescapably linked to Ilya's forever. And I was rereading The Long Game recently, and there's a moment where Shane thinks about how he wouldn't even really want to play in the NHL if Ilya wasn't also. And that's interesting because Shane here is in a very derogatory way being like, ugh, our careers are linked now forever. But then by the time they're engaged, he's like, I don't know that I'd want to play in the NHL if Ilya wasn't doing it too.
Well, I think he plays his best hockey against him, and
Mhm.
he's like, he has the most fun playing against Ilya, and it's just like that's when hockey is good for him, like when he's playing Ilya.
I also have a lot of thoughts about how Shane compares himself to Ilya, because he says he feels short, he feels like a kid. It's a lot. It's a lot.
And I also have thoughts on this because, not to make it about me again, but I'm gonna. I feel like I did a lot of this growing up in high school, like looking at other girls and being like, oh, I'm so jealous of her. Like, she has nicer boobs than me. Like, she's prettier. She has such wonderful hair. And kind of mischaracterizing like the attraction that I was feeling towards these girls as like jealousy. And so I wonder if there's also, like, some of it is jealousy and self-hatred, but I also think some of it is, like, the fact that he is so attracted to Ilya and he doesn't know that and doesn't recognize that, but I think it's also some of that.
Holy shit.
Damn.
I never thought about it that way. Oh my god. No, that's so...
That's how I read
so
it.
valid. Yeah. Is that he... Wow. Okay. Huh. Yeah, and so there's the line, Rosanov had turned 18 too just last week, which Shane knew because he was obsessed with him.
I love that line. I think it's so funny. It's like, yeah, Shane knew that because he's obsessed with him.
And Shane's like, yeah, obsessed in like a serial killer way, but I'm like, okay, sure. So Shane can't sleep, and he goes down to the gym. He also does not run with music.
Serial killer behavior.
Could not be
serial
me.
Killer behavior. No, because this is coming from someone who, like, I have run an entire marathon without music. But that's running outside. On the treadmill, that's insane. This man has a mental strength that, like, I will never possess because what?
I think he's neurodivergent.
His levels of autism are superior to ours.
Now, here's the thing, though, is, like, I love a repetitive sound.
Hey, yo.
Mal, I literally laid down to go to bed, and you said, you can turn on your cricket sounds if you want to.
I actually love your cricket sounds. I really enjoyed them, and I might get my own cricket sounds.
Right? Yeah, so I sleep listening to cricket sounds. I have, like, the Calm Premium and on my phone, and I listen to cricket sounds at, like, full volume, which I never did at your place. I kept it, but... And, like, literally, like, 30 seconds, you were like, this is actually pretty relaxing.
Yeah.
as someone who loves like white noise, brown noise, repetitive sounds, like the sound of the vacuum cleaner, the sound of the washing machine or a tumble dryer, those are very soothing sounds for me. And so for him, I can understand how on that treadmill, that repetitive sound would make his brain feel fuzzy, like that good static fuzz in your brain.
No.
But I understand you, Shane Hollander. Now, Ilya comes to the gym and chooses the treadmill next to Shane.
Because of course.
And again, they're carbon copies of each other. They can't sleep. They're both in the gym. It's not like Ilya knew Shane was there. Ilya was probably panicking, like, I'm moving to North America. I'm alone. I'm scared, blah, blah, blah. And then can't sleep. So he goes to the gym and opens the door and et voila, there's Shane Hollander. And that must have been like, for Ilya, like, hell yeah, Now
like,
for Shane, he's
Shane
like, damn it. Something that really strikes me about Shane is that he's always talking poorly about himself.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very deep-rooted self-hatred with Shane. He describes himself as petty and competitive. Because when Ilya turns up the speed on his treadmill, Shane does it too and says it's because he's petty and competitive. And I'm like, that's just fun, babe. That's not petty.
You don't need petty. You just say
I look at the treadmills around me and I try to be faster than the men around me. I mean, that's
just a healthy dose of misandry.
Right.
The time I was most intimidated or like shocked in a gym was never when the other guys lift more than me. I've already accepted that fact. There are going to be people who've been lifting for longer than I, who can lift like double what I can lift. What shocked me and what intimidated me was seeing this skinny, I want to say like 40 or 50-year-old Asian man running full speed or very high speed on the treadmill while reading the newspaper.
That's crazy. Reading on the treadmill is hard. I have figured out how to do it, but I have to turn my text size so large that I don't feel comfortable reading a lot of things.
I know, I was going to say Mal's entire phone screen just says his hole. Now, when Shane and Ilya start competing on the treadmills, Ilya smiles, and Shane has to stop himself from doing the same. And again, I'm so struck by the fact that I'm like, this is fun for Ilya from the beginning. He doesn't have this tortured poet behavior that Shane does, right?
Funny because he arguably has like a lot more reasons to be more competitive and more against Shane and like treating this less of like a little friendly banter and more of like that's my arch rival.
Yeah, Shane is so angsty about it.
Mm-hmm. In what I'm sure is a really, really great moment for Shane's ego, he has to quit first. He loses.
If you're keeping score, that's the third time now that he's lost to Ilya. I also love when he's like, I should be able to win this. Rozanov smoked, for fuck's sake. Like, you didn't just lose to another hockey player, you lost to another hockey player who smokes.
And Shane is so taken by Ilya's physicality. I also want to point out the fact that it's described that they sit perpendicular from one another. So imagine the corner of the room, and Shane is up against the wall with his legs out, and then Ilya is also up against the adjacent wall with his legs out, and so Ilya's feet are almost touching Shane's ankles. So they can see each other. This is not like they're sitting next to each other and they would have to turn their heads to look at each other. They can see each other. It's like Shane, again, and Mal, with your perspective on this, it's kind of like, yes.
Misplaced attraction.
Yes, Shane is almost jealous of Ilya. He describes himself as being baby-faced and short. He can't grow facial hair. He can barely grow any chest hair. And then he says he's blushing, and he's hoping that the flush of the exercise will hide it. And I'm like, then why are you blushing? It's not because you're jealous. It's because...
I mean, part of the gay experience is like, do I want to sleep with him or do I want to be him? And I think that is what Shane is experiencing here. It's like, both? One or the other, I don't know. Something's happening here, and I don't really know what it is, but I am very aware of this other man's body.
Shane is sitting there like, I see a lot of this man inside of me.
Are you proud of that one?
Yeah, she is. I can tell.
Ilya apologizes for ruining Shane's big day, and Shane is just bitter as hell. And I also, again, wondered like what their relationship could have been like if Shane hadn't struggled with so much of this like deep-rooted self-hatred. Like where does it come from? Why does he hate himself so much? And he's so young.
I'm gonna make it about me again.
Mm.
Just because I think like my own perspective colors a lot of how I see Shane. I think like when I was growing up, I did a lot of like the good, I call it now the good Christian girl thing. Like
Mm.
I volunteered at church. I didn't drink. I didn't party. I didn't go out. Like I kind of did nothing except for what I thought I was supposed to do. Like I got good grades. I volunteered at church. I like, did all the things. And I struggled so much in doing that because I was like also sort of learning these things about myself that like I was queer, and I just felt like who I was inside was so shameful and so different from this like image that I had on the outside. And there was so much of this like, would you even like me if you knew who I was? And so I wonder if there's some of that for Shane. Like he's very much got this like good Canadian boy image, and like he's the prince of hockey, Ilya says at one point. And like I wonder if there's a part of him that's just like, I'm not who you think I am. Like, would you even like me if you knew who I was? Like, I keep losing to this Russian guy. I'm having these confusing feelings. Like, I'm not as good as people think that I am, but he can't say that to anyone. And so he just kind of says it to himself and just kind of resents that he's not this thing that people think that he is.
Right.
And because he's only saying it to himself, there's no one there to be like, that's not true.
Yeah.
Because he keeps it inside, and so it just grows and festers and gets worse. Yeah.
And he's also yearning.
So bad. Oh my God.
It's I thought it was quote unquote bad in the show, but because we're more in their heads and we can hear their internal monologues, I'm like, oh, he was gone from like the second they had that brief like
water bottle touch,
hand touch.
He was gone from the second their fingers like grazed each other.
Mm-hmm. Because Shane says that the air changes between them, and Shane realizes that he wants something, but he doesn't know what it was. And then Ilya touches Shane's fingers again, and Shane's monologue is that he wants Ilya to touch him again, or maybe he wants to touch Ilya himself, and then maybe he even wants to kiss Ilya. And then he's like, whoa! And he jumps up and runs out.
I find it so funny that, and I'm going ahead a little bit, I find it funny that in this section, Shane is like going through this process in his mind kind of for the first time in his life. And it's also new to him to a point that he's confused and shocked. Meanwhile, Ilya in the next chapter is like, based on our interaction, I'm like 90% sure he wanted to kiss me. Like he clocked it instantly, and he accepted, and like it was more like a concrete fact of like, oh yeah, Shane definitely wants to kiss me. Like I sense something there. Mm-hmm. I know what you are, gay boy.
How many people do we think Ilya was the sexual awakening for? Because we know Shane Hollander, Luca Haas. I wonder how many others.
I need someone with a Russian accent to be like, I know what you are, gay boy.
That is Ilya's role in this book series. I know what you are, gay boy.
Shane goes back to his room and he freaks out because he's got a girlfriend and he's having this whole crisis, but he hasn't thought about her and he hasn't spoken to her at all that day. And she also didn't come to the draft with him, and he's hoping that she's gonna break up with him.
The drop that he's got a girlfriend is so funny. Like, it comes out of nowhere.
In my notes, I was like, yes, the infamous book-only girlfriend that Shane had.
Which I think is actually signifies just how much it meant to Shane.
Yeah.
Because we're like, whoa, okay, and she's gone. But I'm like, but no, that's the point, though. That's not like lazy or it was grazed over. Like, that's the point. It was that insignificant and unimportant to him.
Like, yeah, she's not significant, but also he thinks of her in this moment and, like, uses it as an excuse to not do anything with Ilya in this moment. He's like, but I have a girlfriend. I have this girlfriend who I care very much about. Not at all.
Who you are hoping will break up with you.
Right.
Who isn't even here to see you on this trip to see you get drafted. Like,
this is very clearly not a serious relationship.
No, not at all.
And so Shane finally admits that he feels some sort of way about Ilya because he gets off thinking about Ilya. And he says that he'll have to live the rest of his life knowing that, as if that's a bad thing.
No, I'm going to read the exact quote because it kills me. For the rest of his life, Shane Hollander would have to live with the fact that he had ended his NHL draft day by getting himself off to thoughts of Ilya Rozanov.
I love that for him.
I just want to know, at what point does he tell Ilya this? Because I feel like Ilya would love it.
Ilya would fucking make fun of him. It'd be fantastic.
No.
No, I was thinking that,
make fun of him affectionately.
Ilya would be like, oh, do you want to make up for that day that we didn't sleep together in that hotel gym? I'm going to go bedroom now.
So, Hollander, I beat you so badly you had to jerk off to it.
You had to beat Beat it.
God, I did write in the margin, again, bottom behavior. I also need to, because I feel like when people hear jokes about like, oh, top behavior, bottom behavior, number one, it's like very canon in the books and the show, who's top, who's bottom. That's like, that's like their thing.
Yes.
But also, number two, it's not that serious. I can make little jokey jokes about, oh, bottom behavior, toxic top behavior. Ooh, it doesn't, I am not pushing anything onto these characters.
We're being silly.
I think that, hey, by the way, did you say Hollander?
Hollander.
Me or Robert?
No, Robert. When Robert uses a Russian accent, Robert says
so
Hollander.
No, so
yes.
I try and do this deliberately. I've been saying Hollander at least for this episode, but for all the episodes, you can go back and listen. For all the episodes where I try doing my shitty Russian accent and saying Hollander, I always say Colander, like the TikTok meme.
Can you imagine his accent shifting over the years being with the Hollanders?
Thank you for pasta.
And he's like, oh.
I don't think we've talked about it on the feed. I don't remember if we have, but when we were all together and we were watching Hero Rivalry, I was some reason dicking off and being like, oh, you know what? And I'm gonna say all of Ilya's lines again out loud, but I'm gonna do them in a terrible Southern accent.
Yep, that happened.
Thank you for pasta.
I recorded it. Thank you for pasta. I also, one thing to wrap this up. One thing that somebody, I God bless, I'm sorry that I don't remember who it was, but it was someone on Threads said that they had a headcanon that every time Ilya's depression gets really bad and Shane is trying to like work him out of it, what he'll do is he'll tell Ilya something like embarrassing that he's never told him before. So like, I put on a suit before you came up to my hotel room, and then I was like, what am I doing? Just to try to like get Ilya out of his funk. So I'm like, I love the idea that Ilya is in a funk and Shane is like, so guess what I did on the draft day.
And I feel like Ilya's probably like, yeah, you know what? Same.
These are good. And again, like Miranda talked to us about bids for connection. And there are so many missed opportunities. I actually think we should keep an eye out for those. Just those missed opportunities of Ilya's bid for connection being, hey, we're going to see each other a lot. Like he taps Shane's ankle with his foot and says, we're going to see each other a lot. That's a bid for connection that Shane's like, what? You know? Chapter 3. Moving on to chapter 3. So, revenge of the Shane, and then some really intense feelings.
Yeah.
Not that they haven't already been intense.
Oh, wait. Can we go back? Hold on. Robert.
Yeah?
Thoughts about chapter 2? How are we feeling?
I can express those better if we finish chapter 3 and then because like chapter 2 and 3 kind of like sit together in my brain. I wrote, there is no better way to write sad white boy than to have sad white boy alone on New Year's Eve. That is like peak sad white boy behavior, being like, I'm alone. Even there's a fucking room of Ilya's teammates cheering in the other room, like, oh, Happy New Year, woo. And he's like, man, I want to like be alone and smoke a cigarette. I'm like, sad white boy, love
sad
you.
white boy.
And he was with them originally, and then he left.
And he left.
So it's December 2009. We are in Ottawa, and Ilya is alone at midnight on New Year's Eve. He was with his teammates, and then he just wants to be alone.
I wrote in the margin, buddy, go make some friends. Buddy, go make friends.
The thing about Ilya is that he has so many friends, but also no friends.
Yeah. He's a very fascinating character.
Sad white boy.
Yeah.
I feel like Ilya has so many friends, but he doesn't make himself available to them. Like he is always surrounded by people, but he never like actually connects with them. Like looking at this, he was at the New Year's Eve party and then decided he wanted to be alone, so he left. And I feel like he does that. Like there are people around who are willing to be his friend. He just doesn't ever fully let them know him.
Fair. So then Ilya mentions that Ottawa is Shane Hollander mania and that his face and his freckles are everywhere. And I think it's worth the mention here that Shane hates his freckles, but Ilya loves them. And Ilya hates his accent, but Shane loves it.
It's kind of funny to me that, like, at this point, Shane hasn't played a single NHL game. He's just been drafted, and it's still, like, Shane Hollander mania in Ottawa. Like, it's kind of a little bit giving small town that has, like, one really good high school football player that, like, everyone loves.
People love an NHL rookie. I'm just gonna say, people love an NHL rookie. Ilya's about to move to Boston. He's never been out of Russia for longer than a couple of weeks at a time. He's gonna start his career, be rich and famous, be his own man. And it's like, it's all great news, but he mutters Happy New Year to himself. And it just these like breadcrumbs to his depression. It's like all these great things that he's mentioning. And then he's like, fucking Happy New Year. Here's a line. My thought here was, my brain went full light show. Like, it was like pew, 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 pew in my head, right? The line is, he wanted a real cigarette. He wanted to fuck someone. He wanted to go down to the hotel gym and find Shane Hollander on a treadmill. The fact that those are all the same amount of exhilarating for him. Just racing Shane Hollander on a treadmill is like having a cigarette or fucking someone. Like, I'm like, oh my god.
God, it was never casual. They tried their best, but it was never casual.
We find out that Ilya nearly flirted with Shane or even just kissed him in the gym.
But he couldn't, because then Shane would have been cheating on his very important girlfriend.
But the word choice here is so specific. It's not just kiss him, it's take his mouth.
Bro.
It's a very dominating thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he also thinks that Shane would have kissed him back.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm pretty good at reading people, and I think Shane would have kissed me back.
I'm like, bro's an empath.
We also find out that Ilya has fucked dozens of women in 6 months. Please see a doctor. Please.
One of the forms of self-harm is like reckless sex and just having sex with many people unprotected or very minimal protection, not really caring about your health. So this is either, oh man, Ilya's getting laid all the time, woo, or this is like, oh, Ilya's getting laid all the time. Should we call someone?
I think this is definitely in should we call someone territory. Like, dozens of women? That's a lot.
I will say, though,
For
he
an
is safe about
18-year-old.
it. But yeah, that's a lot.
No, like he's frantically looking for something that scratches that itch that like makes him feel not empty, and like he can't race Shane Hollander in a hotel gym, and so he's picking to
He's been
sleep
doing
around.
this for 4 years already. He started when he was 14 years old.
Yeah.
So.
Oh boy.
Shane and Ilya, their thoughts, as I was reading this, I was realizing the writing style is very good at showing you how their thoughts get away from them. And the way that Rachel shows us this is lines like, he certainly had no reason to obsess over his fucking arch rival, or his arch rival's freckles, or his dark eyes, or the way his cheeks glowed red when he exerted himself. Fuck. Anyway, like that's...
It's a good line.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. To me, I'm like, his thoughts, because he's like, oh, I shouldn't be thinking about this guy and his freckles and his eyes.
Fuck, anyway.
And Ilya's just laying on the bed, kicking his feet and twirling his hair while he thinks about Shane.
We also find out that Shane has watched every Russian game, and he is studying Ilya's game footage because he wants to beat him.
Beat him off.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Sure, Shane.
Do I want to fuck him or do I want to be him? It's the same.
Yeah, and also it is like, yes, 100% it is valid that Shane wants to beat him. He wants to be better than him. And so he is studying this, but he is also appreciating how beautifully Ilya plays. And he admires him. You're an awesome player to watch, you know? So this is reminiscent to me of Shane learning the Rozanov in the long game. Is a sign of being a thief. Now, Shane's thoughts also get away from him because he's thinking about Ilya's hand touching his, and his eyes, and his hair, and his flesh skin. But then he claims that it's a glitch in his brain, that it was a glitch because he had like a big day and he was overwhelmed. But I thought about the fact that like glitch implies that Shane is robotic or mechanical. And I'm like, but you're not, though.
You're a person, buddy.
Yeah. Ugh. Shane has also started to notice men.
He has had his gay awakening.
Yeah. He's finding random men attractive, but very specifically, no one that he knows. Just strangers or like actors.
Though I do wish they would tell us specifically what guy from Friday Night Lights he thinks is hot. Because he just says, like, the guy from Friday Night Lights. Oh, I've never seen it either. And I did look it up because I was like, are any of these guys really, like, Ilya coded?
Were there?
Like, no. It was very 2006. So, like, none of these people are, like, I don't know, I couldn't gauge who Shane would find attractive. Any Friday Night Lights fans out there, please explain, elaborate.
Now, Shane's is starting to spiral a little bit here because he's been hooking up with girls. Plenty of girls.
God.
At least 2 girls. And it's not all the way sex, but it is sex stuff. And he definitely has not closed his eyes and imagined Ilya the 2 times that he's gotten blowjobs in the past 6 months. 2 blowjobs, by the way, for me, I'm thinking 2 blowjobs in 6 months seems like a lot for 18-year-old Shane.
I was gonna say, this is it's so funny to me the way Shane's saying this, because it's giving very much like, oh, I have a girlfriend in Canada, you guys don't know her, she goes to a different
I
school.
remember
Like,
another school.
yeah, it's that shit. And also B, it's again a direct comparison to, like, at least not like Shane internally being like, oh, Ilya's more adult to me, but like Ilya's having more adult experiences than Shane. Like Shane is still quote unquote catching up, even though, listen, have sex and do whatever sexual activities at your own pace with whoever you want. No, there's no fucking race. But, you know, seeing it like this and knowing what Shane thinks of himself against Ilya and being like, oh, Ilya's more grown up at this young age, I'm like, I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
But no, you're right. It does feel like a lot for 18-year-old Shane.
Yeah. 2 whole blowjobs, damn.
Yeah, blowjobs from 2 girls
Sex
in 6
stuff.
months.
2 girls.
Sex stuff. We also immediately cut from Shane imagining Ilya and talking about imagining Ilya when he's getting blowjobs to them at the face-off and Shane chirping that there's an I in suck my dick, which is like one of my favorite. I hate when people say that Shane can't chirp because
can.
what the fuck do you mean?
He does.
That's amazing. And then Ilya chirps back, there's also an I in silver.
Yeah, because Shane's like, I'm winning this game, and Ilya says, there's no I in team. And he's like, well, there's an I in suck my dick. There's also an I in silver. It's a great little chirp exchange. Like,
I wrote in the margins to, there's an I in suck my dick, bro, you offering? And then I wrote in, there's also an I in silver. I wrote, got him.
Now, I hope that this chirp is in season 2. I want to see this chirp in season 2. And I want there to be like a look.
Look, you say.
This is like my favorite chirp. I love this one. Shane uses his anger to win the game. And Ilya also very much like Shane, does not like to lose, but then he does. And he has to take silver back to Russia. And he doesn't even want to go back.
He does not.
Shane doesn't want to take silver back to Ottawa because he doesn't want silver. Ilya doesn't want to take silver back to Russia, and Ilya doesn't even want to go back to Russia. And he's so homeless, you know?
your home's right there on the ice, buddy, telling you to suck his dick.
For all of our talk of Ilya not caring about hockey, he does, and he takes it very seriously.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and
like,
I think,
very seriously.
Like, if it was effortless for Ilya, which I think some people like to make it seem like Ilya doesn't really try, he doesn't really have to work hard for it, Shane would not be into him if it was effortless, if Ilya didn't try. Like, no, this is a, like, we are both working very hard to be very good at hockey situation.
And I think that's a part of why he and Shane are so well matched, is that they both understand each other when it comes down to, like, this is my thing. Nobody else gets how much of my thing this is. And I think that's why they are so well matched for each other.
And I mean, I think, like, hockey has different roles in their life, but at the end of the day, like, they both care a lot about this thing, and they both want to be the best. And the only person standing in their way is each other.
Right. Ilya notes that his father probably hasn't even watched any of the games, but he is going to go home and his father's going to have so much shit to say about it. And it's just sad to me because we're already setting up just how much he and Shane are carbon copies of each other, except for the fact that, like, Ilya just doesn't have the resources that Shane does. Somehow, Ilya is a lot more comfortable with being himself than Shane is, but Ilya doesn't have the resources that Shane has.
Again, you can tell a lot about Ilya's relation to his family without much context. All you really need is his family wasn't there. He's noting that other families came down from Russia, but not his. That already tells you a lot.
Yeah, that is, wow. Shane comes from this world of privilege, and he lives in the West, right? He lives in a country where gay marriage is legal already, and he has rights in a way that Ilya doesn't, and he's been allowed certain things, and, like, really theoretically should be the one who has the space to be out and to be comfortable with all of it.
Yeah.
But it's actually somehow a lot more Ilya that feels that way. Do you guys have any thoughts about that, or do you need to read more before you have more to say on that?
I think I need to read more before I have to.
I mean, I
more
have
definitive
thoughts, and I've said some of them. I think some of it is just the pressure that they put on themselves. Like, I think for Shane, like, he, again, Prince of Hockey, Mr. Canada, like, he's like, I have to be this perfect person. I have to be this representation for, you know, Asian boys who play hockey because, like, I'm the only one. And, like, I think there's just this, like, he clings very hard to this, like, image that he has, also because I think, like, he feels like he doesn't actually rise to, like, the way people see him. And so I think that's also part of why, like, he's so, like, he tries so hard not to do anything that is, like, contrary to this image,
Right.
because he already is like, this is actually not who I am, but also, like, I need people to still think that this is what I am. Whereas, like, Ilya doesn't necessarily have that. Like, people already think, like, he's an asshole, like, he's from Russia, like, he's, you know.
When will my reflection show who I am?
Like, you know,
inside?
he's just like, he's kind of all these things, and he's already kind of a bad boy, so it's kind of like, well, I might as well be a bad boy in this way too. I don't know.
Shane is on a very tall pedestal, and there are a lot of people cheering for him. He is so dedicated to not toppling that he is rigid, right? He is like trembling and sweating and shaking because he is so rigid, because if he moves at all, he's going to fall off of this pedestal.
Right.
But I think that anybody who knows anything about balance and how to keep your balance is that you have to have flexibility and you have to move. The reason that trees don't break in the wind is because they bend. But Shane is so rigid that the only option is be rigid, be perfect, or break. But Ilya is bendy, right? And that's why.
Because I think Ilya has had to be. I mean, Shane hasn't faced any, not like he hasn't faced any real struggles, but, like, I'm thinking, like, you know, Ilya lost his mom. Ilya grew up in Russia. Ilya has this father who treats him terribly. So, like, he has had to be flexible to survive all of that his whole life. But, like, Shane hasn't had anything, like, super major bad happen to him. And so I think that's what makes him so tense about it, because it's like, if I'm not perfect, something bad is going to happen, because he, like, doesn't have the experience with bad things happening and having to kind of come back from that, you know?
And let me be very clear that we understand the weight of racism. We understand that that is very heavy for Shane. We understand that racism causes trauma in children of color and people of color.
Yeah.
That is not what we are saying. We are not saying that there is no trauma for Shane. We're not saying that. What we're saying is Shane's parents are alive and they love him very much, unconditionally. He might not know that yet. He might not think so, but that's the truth.
I think he does think so. I mean, he
no,
says
I think
his
that
parents
if he
are.
thought,
Oh, well, like, he doesn't know about the gay thing, yes, but he
Yes.
does say in chapter 1 when he meets Ilya, like, oh yeah, my parents are great. Like, he recognizes how great his parents are, which I love, because I did not recognize.
and he loves his parents very much. And so that's what we're saying. We are saying that Shane speaks both languages he needs to speak. He is very talented. He is wealthy, I think is fair to say, upper middle class at least.
Right.
I mean, in order to be this good at hockey, like, I mean, your parents have to invest quite a bit of money.
Hockey is not cheap.
Yeah.
It is not cheap.
Yeah.
And
so it's not fair for me to say that there's been nothing bad in Shane's life, because that is not true.
But I understand what you were saying, and I just wanted to clarify for anyone who might be like,
no.
because people love to freak out about that. And I know that's not what you were saying, and so I just wanted to clarify that that's not, yeah.
Yeah.
So I love, now this line I think is very important. He wanted to be rich and famous and loved and have a huge garage full of sports cars. He wanted expensive clothes and gorgeous women and hot nightclubs. He wanted the weight of his family and his country lifted. He wanted to be himself. He wants to be rich and famous and loved.
Yeah.
Loved. He wants to be loved. He wants to be loved.
It's-
Somebody
it's
come and love him.
It's very telling that out of the the first three things, you ask him, like, oh, what are the three things you want most in the world? Loved comes third, comes last in, like, those first three. So is there perhaps this idea that, like, Ilya himself, as much as he wants to be loved, does he think he deserves
Of the
to be
three
loved?
things, that's the least attainable.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, he's going to be rich and famous.
Yeah.
Got that in the bag, right?
Loved, however.
He's just got $1 million contract for sure. But yeah,
But
that comes third. And I'm sure that he's thinking of loved in like a way of like by the fans. But I'm also think about the fact that that's the first sentence. And then the second to last is that he wanted the weight of his family and his country lifted. Why is that? In the same breath as wanting to be loved, he also wants the weight of his family lifted. So that means that those two things are contradictory to each other.
Oh.
Yeah.
We're already getting the hints very early on that Ilya does not feel love from his family.
Yeah. And when Ilya shakes Shane's hand at the end of this World Juniors championship game, they make eye contact. And he says that it feels like everything around them freezes and goes silent.
Which, as we remember, is a sound that Shane hates. But Ilya, I guess, loves it.
Wow.
One of my favorite lines in this book happens in this chapter. And it's when Ilya says, "We were supposed to stand alone at the top, but we will always be there together. We'll keep climbing until no one else can reach us, but it will always be together." Soulmate shit. Soulmate shit. Like, oh, it's so good. And Ilya also says, like, he can't wait for the real battle between them to begin because, like, it's coming, it's happening. Like, he can't wait. He can't wait to see
Ilya loved playing hockey against Shane Hollander almost as much as he loved fucking him.
Yeah. Can't wait to see Shane Hollander on that NHL ice. It's just, they make me feel so crazy.
I feel totally normal.
Love story of all time.
Love story. I want to say love story of all time. Very good love story. I wouldn't say love story of all time. I don't know what I would say my love story of all time is.
Very good love story. And I'm so glad that they are fictional because, like, if they were real people, like, we would not get to enjoy all of this. There would just be, like, these two NHL stars who were like, yeah, we've been together for a while now. Okay, bye. And you'd have to, like, respect that because they're real people, despite wanting to know all the details. But because they're fictional, I get to know all the details. It's great.
The closest I've been able to experience this, and these two people recently watched Heated Rivalry and got to talk about their experiences as a couple together, are Dan and Phil, who had to keep their relationship secret for a bunch of reasons, and only recently came out as gay each individually, and then only very recently, in the past few months of recording this, came out as gay together for that whole time.
How long?
16 years.
Oh my God.
That's nuts.
They were in the closet for 10 years, and then they were like in the closet about being together for 16 years. And like, there were hints, people assumed, there were some facts like they are both two gay men living with each other for the past 16 years. So it's like, you can make assumptions, but like until
your
they
gay uncle and his roommate who lived together for 30 years.
Until we got the actual confirmation, no one could really like definitively say it.
But they have actually confirmed they've been together for 16 years?
For 16 years.
Wow.
That's wild.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's like half our lives, guy.
Yep.
It's crazy.
God.
But those are the first 3 chapters and the prologue of Heated Rivalry. And I hope I spoke enough to everyone's satisfaction.
No, you have to speak more. So, okay, you said you had final thoughts
What
about...
are you feeling, Robert?
Okay, how are you feeling? What are you thinking?
I love sad white boy and sad Asian boy. They are soulmates of all time. I can agree with that. I think my favorite thing about these first 3 chapters, and like I got the idea of watching the show, but like I love in these first 3 chapters, we, as much as I'm joking about like, oh, sad Asian boy, sad white boy, we get like tastes of their very similar sadnesses and very similar like things that are going on in their heads. As Shane pointed out at the beginning of chapter 2, where he's like, Ilya and I are more similar than I'd like to admit.
Yeah. I keep hearing Mal in my head going, "You've been doing this for 6 years and you just figured out you could talk."
Knowing where it goes because of the show and what I can expect, and B, I know some things that like are book only details versus show only details. I am very excited to just see the progression of this relationship be more.
There's so much fucking.
There's so much fucking.
They're gonna have a lot of sex.
They're gonna have a lot of sex. Good for them. But also, I'm just so. I want to be more in these characters' heads. That's like the one thing you can't really do with a TV show is you can't have the internal monologue being like, oh, this is how I felt today about this event. This is how this person made me feel. Like, that's boring in a TV show, but reading it in a book, I'm enthralled. I want to know more.
Yeah. I love, obviously you can see like Ilya in the show looking at Shane or like touching his freckles with his thumb in the hospital, but hearing his internal monologue of like, it's the first thing I notice. I see them everywhere. I can't stop thinking about them. There's something very endearing about it. And then I also think that there's something very endearing about Ilya when you, and I think that this will kind of, knowing that Mal and I read the books, right? Because like even okay, so Robert would make the toxic top joke. And then Mal, when you guys watched the first few episodes, Mal, you were going, I mean, he kind of is. But Mal, you read and you were like, oh, no, no, no. So, Robert, now you've got the insight that we had of being like, oh, no, 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 you know?
I mean, I'm still going to call Ilya toxic top and Shane toxic
For the
bottom
bit.
just for the bit, just for the joke.
Right.
There were a couple times that I referred to Shane as a bottom behavior or like with bottom behavior or a toxic bottom in these set of chapters. And I'm sure I will make that joke more rapidly as they start fucking.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yo. Well, any final thoughts?
Look at those gays go.
Look at those gays go. I would like to read. This is mainly cringe. I don't know why I wrote this as the last note in my margins, but after the last line of chapter 3, where it's like, because the student battle between himself and Shane Hollander would begin, he couldn't fucking wait. I wrote, the game is afoot. Because I am a Sherlock Holmes nut through and through.
Yeah, those are some really heavy chapters, just with like Shane's internal monologue is very
and that's
icky.
the beginning of this fucking book.
Yeah.
If you're like me and you haven't really read through the books and all you have is the show, I imagine you and I are going to be experiencing a lot of things that we would never have experienced in the show.
Yeah. Woo! Well, yeah, this is your reminder. If you want to email us to let us know about any bonus content you would like to see from a Patreon, you can do that, pitcrewpodcast@gmail.com. We want you to share your thoughts with us. I know I posted and I was like, book club, and people were like, oh my God, what time? And I was like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean like live, but we want you guys to engage in the comments. Let us know what you think. You know, do you disagree? Do you agree? Be nice. Please don't fight with each other in the comments. I'm real tired of that shit. But yeah, we want to know what you think. We want to hear from you guys. And we'd love to hear from you guys. And we will talk to you next time.
And if you need your chapter assignment for our next episode that releases on April 6th, you will need to read chapters 4 through 6.
And again, we have posted that on our YouTube as a post. We have also posted it on our Instagram
and our threads,
pinned to our profile on our threads, so you can find that info anywhere and keep up with us, and we will talk soon. So long, fellow losers. The Pit Crew podcast is created and produced by us, Robert, Mal, and Camille. This episode was edited by me. You can find us on TikTok, Threads, and Instagram at Pit Crew Podcast. If you'd like to support our other projects, our socials are linked in the show notes. Our art is by Rand Pacoca. He can be found on Instagram at Rand Pacoca. All patient questions and concerns can be emailed to pitcrewpodcast@gmail.com. Now, this isn't a Taco Bell, but we do appreciate a 5-star rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to schedule a follow-up appointment with a nurse before you go. See you next time.